Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 21 of the Spark podcast. My name is Jack. I'll be your host, and today we're going to talk about running. Running is something that is kind of unique to humans in a certain way. Well, obviously all animals run, but endurance running is something that humans have evolved to actually do. As you probably know, humans are we're mostly hunter-gatherers. We've moved on to farming now since. But eons ago, maybe not eons ago, a few hundred years ago, before farming became the new big thing, humans are Homo erectus or Homo sapiens were all hunter-gatherers. And hunting was a big part of it because you get a lot of energy from meat as opposed to berries or plants or whatever you can pick up off the floor. The only problem is you have to expend energy while hunting. So you need to get that energy back with the meat that you harvest. Humans should have trouble hunting. We aren't the biggest or strongest animals. We don't have sharp teeth or claws, and we're definitely not the fastest creatures on Earth. Nowadays, we compensate for these drawbacks with our technology, so guns, bows and arrows, etc. But our ancestors weren't so lucky. Homo erectus had a diet that was heavily dependent on meat, but they had rudimentary stone tools to work with. The way they got their meat, was through persistence hunting. Humans may have a lot of biological disadvantages, but we do have endurance. Thanks to our evolutionary adaptations, we can run longer than almost any other mammal. We might not be able to beat them in a sprint, but over time we will wear them down. Chasing down your prey like this would expend a lot of energy, but because of our ability to take down a larger animal because of this method, we would regain this energy from the meat that we'd harvest from them. The human body has a lot of advantages for persistence hunting. 2 legs use less energy than 4 would. We have long, elastic Achilles tendons that store energy between each stride. Our short toes allow us to push off the ground easily. Our large heel bone absorbs the impact of each stride. We sweat to cool ourselves off, whereas other animals need to find shade to cool off. We have hands that can carry water to replace the fluids that we lose while sweating. And even the shape of our body seems to be adapted to endurance running, allowing us to keep rotation to a minimum while we're moving to prevent us losing balance and falling over, which obviously would be a disadvantage while you're chasing something down. You don't want to fall over and lose it. These advantages are pretty much unique to humans. If every species were to run in a marathon, humans would finish near the fastest competitors. This is in the 26-mile regular marathon. A horse may beat us at that distance, but if we go further, the odds start to stack in our favor. Lunatics like fucking David Goggins, who run ultramarathons and 100-mile races, would easily outstrip any other animal species. Even our closer relatives like chimps can only run for about 100 meters or so before tiring out. So it is a uniquely human thing to have the endurance to run for long distances. Now, we'll get tired over time, obviously. If you've ever run any distance at all, you know that you get tired after a while, but if you train enough, you can get there. You can get to the point where you stop getting, well, you don't stop getting tired, but you stop getting tired at short distances, and you just keep going further and further and further. Now, persistence hunting isn't a thing of the past. It's still happening. The sand people of the Kalahari Desert are the last people to use persistence hunting. They specifically target larger animals. So for example, a kudu bull will be one of their first choices because of the large antlers it has on its head. These may be a fierce weapon in a head-on fight, but while running they become a burden, and this burden of carrying the heavy antlers tires the bull out faster. The hunters will stalk their prey for hours, tracking it through the desert until they get close enough. Once they're within range, they know from experience how close they need to get before a runner chases down the target. They choose one runner, either their fittest, well, most likely their fittest person who's out hunting with them at the time, will chase down the target. The chase can last for hours, or like a full day, with the hunter getting close before the bull runs away on multiple occasions. So the hunter will run up to the bull or the target, whatever they're hunting. It'll get spooked and it'll run away, and you got to chase it again. And this will happen multiple times. Eventually, the bull will collapse from exhaustion, allowing the hunter to end its life with a simple spear thrust or throw. If you watch videos of this on YouTube, there will be one in the description down below, a link to it. You can see it actually happen in real life. They track these 3 hunters through the desert, and they work in silence so as not to spook the animals before they need to. They'll slowly encroach on a group of animals, identify which one is the bull, try to separate that from the herd, and get the runner to chase that one. So it'll be on its own. It'll be running away from a human, which it's pretty much terrified of. And the scary thing about it from the animal's perspective is the human doesn't stop. If you are a kudu, you don't want to be anywhere near humans because they want to eat you, obviously. So you run away, you stop, you find yourself in a clearing, you don't see the human. Oh, he must be gone. Suddenly you see him in the distance coming towards you, and you go, fuck, he's there. So you run away again, and it just keeps coming after you, and you can't stop. You can't sweat to cool yourself down. Every time you stop, you're trying to find shade to cool yourself down, but sometimes you can't, and the human is always there. And eventually you just collapse. You're just exhausted. There's nothing you can do about it. You just stop. Your heart gives out. Your lungs are burning. All your muscles are fucked. You just basically, they just lie down. And it's just a simple spear thrust or a spear throw to end the animal's life. And this one kudu bull will be enough to feed a family for roughly 12 days. So the return on investment of the energy expended is pretty good. Nowadays, running isn't used to hunt anymore. It's more of a leisure activity. You'll often see people on the side of the road running around in their shorts and t-shirts, or if in Ireland, probably in sweatpants and a jumper, or maybe in rain gear, actually to get fit, to enjoy themselves. It's a leisure activity. It's not a necessity anymore. And for the vast majority of my life, that was a bad thing. Running was like one of the more boring things you could have done. There was nothing I hated more than the idea of just running down a road and just doing nothing else, just running. It didn't appeal to me even in the slightest. On top of that, I'm not built for running at all. I've always been a big dude. I've topped out at 6'4" and 158 kilograms last Christmas. Now, obviously, I'm still 6'4", but I do weigh in at a lower number. Don't get me wrong, I still have a long way to go, but the progress I've been making so far has been pretty good. If you sat me down a year ago and told me I would have travelled to a small island on the west coast of Ireland just to run 22 kilometres in the hills, I would have told you you're a madman, and that was not going to happen. But it did, weirdly enough. Before that, I had always known that I should have lost a few kilograms, but I always enjoyed being the biggest dude in the room. I don't know why. I guess it was just what I got used to. Maybe it was the knowledge that if shit went sideways and people attacked me, I'd be able to squash them. I mean, even if someone knocked me out, I could possibly fall on top of them and do a lot of damage that way. But like the years went by and nobody attacks me. You know, it's an irrational thought to have, is that someone's going to attack you in a room of mostly friends that I'm with. And anyway, if someone was trying to attack me, I can't see a scenario where I'd actually rather fight than just talk my way out of it. So like that kind of mentality of just be the biggest dude in the room was kind of killing me. It was macho bullshit, and it wasn't doing me any favors. At that time, I would often lose my breath if I went up a flight of stairs too quickly. Walking was a chore rather than a leisure activity. I spent my evenings sitting on my arse, watching Netflix and playing video games, so my cardiovascular health was abysmal. My job allows me to take readings on myself, and both my blood pressure and resting heart rate were acceptable, but on the higher end and nowhere near what a fucking 24-year-old should have been. I had enough fat in my neck to block my airway when I lay down, and this caused sleep apnea. My fiance would tell me in the morning that I had stopped breathing, sometimes for over a minute, and she didn't know if I was going to start breathing again. She would also shake me awake sometimes just to stop my ridiculous snoring. The warning signs were there, but I kept ignoring them. I kept resorting to the fact that I felt fine. The only thing that actually scared me was was a really weird thing. If I positioned myself in a certain way while I was lying in bed, so if I had my chest down and my left arm raised in such a way that my heart was as close to the bed as possible, my heartbeat was so strong that it would literally shake the bed, which was kind of terrifying. But other than that, everything was fine. I never planned on losing weight, and I didn't feel like it was necessary. That was all before January of this year, 2019, and I still have no idea where the motivation came from. Maybe it was a New Year's resolution that I subconsciously made. Maybe it was that ridiculous challenge to run a half marathon in July. Maybe I had just listened to fucking Joe Rogan talking about fat people too much. But I remembered coming to grips with the fact that that was the thing that was slowing me down, and it wasn't going to help me live a long or a happy life. You don't see a lot of fat people who get old. You don't see a lot of old people who are fat. Also, my family has a history of heart disease with my father and most of his brothers having to undergo open heart surgery at some point in their lives. So I was going to try to avoid that at all costs. The less people who have to cut me open and tinker with my organs, the better. It might have been all of these things together, but whatever it was, in January I decided to start eating clean and exercising regularly. I took on a regimen of intermittent fasting. I would only eat between the hours of 1 p.m. and 9 p.m. with absolutely no exceptions. When I was eating, I cut out bread, sugar, and anything else that I knew was bad for me. Basically, if I had food in front of me and I knew it was bad for me, I wouldn't eat it. So I'd eat stuff that I knew was good for me. It wasn't any like particular diet or anything like that. It was just like, oh, this is probably high in sugar or carbs or whatever. And if it was bad for me, I didn't eat it. I did this without cheating for a solid month. After the month, I implemented a cheat day on Friday because I was going fucking insane, which is something I'm still sticking to. Now, I do cheat in every now and again as well because I get I either get drunk and someone offers me a bag of chips and I'm like, yeah, I'll eat those. But then I work it off in the morning and I feel bad about it. That's the biggest thing, actually, is I feel bad about eating bad food now. I didn't before. That was just kind of like what I was eating. But now if I eat a bad meal, I feel bad about it, which is probably a good thing. What most people should feel. I also downloaded the Nike Run Club app, which I 100% recommend. I'm not sponsored by it or anything like that. It would be great if I was. If Nike sponsored me, that would be ridiculous. But I'm not sponsored by them. It's fantastic. And I started a kind of a Get Fit regiment. The app allows you to kind of sign up for, not classes, but like it'll tell you, it'll give you a plan of what to do. So if you start at the very beginning, it'll be like, oh, you need to run half a kilometer on Tuesday. See if you can run 400 meters as fast as you can on Thursday, and then we'll go for a long run on Sunday. You'll go for 2 kilometers, something like that. So I started at the very basics, and basically went from there. It was without a doubt the hardest thing I've ever done. That's taking into account that I studied engineering for 4 years. Hunger pains sucked, running sucked, and everything hurt. But after the first week, I was down 6 kilograms. I've always been a results-orientated person, and this was a pretty good result. I kept myself going by telling myself that it was okay to be hungry. And it's okay to have blisters on your feet. It's okay you hurt yourself and can't run for a few days. I knew I'd get up and start again. Whatever the cost in the short term was, it was okay, because I wasn't going to stop. The long-term benefits far outweighed the short-term pains. I had to stop being a little bitch and suck it up, basically. You only have one body and you don't get to swap it out for a newer model. If you want to improve, you need to work hard. There are no shortcuts. There are no secrets. No special diet which will help every issue I have. It's just eat less, do more, stay hydrated. And at this point, I honestly don't care what my motivation was, because it helped me to become a better person. I don't mean I suddenly started fucking giving money away to charity or anything, but I mean I am objectively, physically, and mentally better. I have more energy when I spend time with the people I love. When I was heavier, I got tired easily, and I got cranky when I was tired. I still get cranky when I'm tired, but I get tired less. I feel better going out in public. I no longer feel like the fat guy. Not that was stopping me or anything like that, but every now and again in the back of my mind is like, oh, people would look at you and go, oh, he should probably lose a couple of pounds there. I probably still should lose a couple of pounds, but I'm better than I was, so I feel better about it. I can actually buy clothes pretty easily, which is a fucking godsend, because it's very difficult to find pants that have a 46-inch waist and triple XL shirts. It's madness. It's much easier now that my waist is down below 40 inches and I'm wearing XL shirts, which is great, because everyone sells XL shirts. Very little people sell triple XL shirts, and very little people shops sell over 42-inch waists. You'd be lucky to find a 42-inch. You're never going to find a 46-inch. You might get one pants in an entire shop. It had gotten to that point, actually, where I'd have to go into a shop and just look for a triple XL shirt, and that would be the shirt that I buy, regardless if it looked nice or not. Just something to wear. But it's better now. I didn't realize at the time when I was heavier that I had a few nagging pains in my body. I thought that was just kind of the way that bodies were. But they're all gone now. My toes don't hurt. My knees don't hurt. And I can move around easier. I can walk and talk with ease, which was something that was not that I couldn't do, but I kind of stopped myself talking as I was walking to go, I'd have to breathe in while I was walking, which I can just talk and walk now. Do you know what? When I say it out loud like that, it seems like it's fucking, I was disabled, It was a disability that I can walk and talk, like something that everyone takes for granted. But anyway, that's beside the point. Apart from my physical health, my mental health has improved dramatically. I haven't had a day where I felt too depressed to leave my room. I think I've become more friendly and open with everyone. I've even built up the courage to start this podcast. Now, I did start it when I started shortly after I started the diet, but usually I start things and I give up on them, but I've actually stuck to this, which is great. I miss a week every now and again, but I always go back to it, like I'm doing it right now. Running has become a form of meditation for me. When I run, it's just me and the road. I might have music or a podcast playing in my earphones, but all I have to think about right then is running. Instead of the bombardment of data coming from everyday life and the problems I deal with every day, I only have one problem to think about. How far can I go without stopping? It allows my mind to wander and lets me relax. Now I get I get into a bit of a funk if I don't run for a few days. It's like missing out on my meditation. I need some time to go think about stuff. Since I've lost the weight, people have acted differently towards me. I don't think it's a conscious thing, but when you see someone who obviously isn't taking care of themselves, you do act differently towards them than you would to somebody who looks healthier and does take care of themselves. It doesn't make you a shitty person. It's literally hardwired into our biology that we want to spend time with the people who carry better genes or do better things or would be able to help us in a certain way. Not that people were dickheads to me before, far from it. People have always warmed to me. But since I've lost the weight, there has been a noticeable improvement in my interactions with strangers and with some of the people I know. That may be caused also by the fact that I feel better, but I feel like it's a mixture of both. I feel better, so I'm able to talk with people better, and I look better, so people kind of subconsciously feel better with interacting with me. That sounds that sounds really weird, but that's kind of what I think. As I said from the start, I'm not built for running. I'm too big and I'm too heavy, but that's not going to stop me. Fuck that noise. I'm going to keep going until I physically can't do it anymore. The Cork Marathon is on in May of next year, and I plan to be there to run my first full marathon. The training will be hard, but that's why I like it, because it's a challenge. And why else are we here if not to challenge ourselves? So if you're listening to this and you've wanted to lose weight or you've wanted to get more active but you've always put it off, stop what you're doing and just fucking go do it, man. Because that's all it takes, is you just need to start. If it's hard, good. It's supposed to be hard. These things are supposed to challenge us. You're supposed to improve in a certain way. You're supposed to work hard to get better. You don't feel good if you get better without working hard. So, with that being said, I'm going to go lift up some heavy stuff and put it back down again to make myself feel better, but also to get some exercise in. As always, eat less, do more, and stay hydrated. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the podcast. If you would like to contact me, you can tweet me at Podcast Spark, or you can comment in the comment section down below. If you would like to contribute to the Spark podcast, there's also a Patreon linked where you can opt in to buy me a coffee once a month. I'd greatly appreciate it, because coffee is what this whole thing is run on. Thank you very much for listening. Bye bye.